Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 73, where I played e4 and my opponent played the Sicilian Najdorf defense, and I went in for the English attack. So let's check it out. In this game, in this review, I'm going to leave the chess engine on here. There was a lot of complications, which is helpful to have that there so I don't go astray. So e4, c5, knight f3, d6, Sicilian main line, d4, open Sicilian main line. So you can see we're playing all the most popular moves, and that continues for quite a while. Knight c3, knight a6. So that's the Najdorf, the characteristic move of the Najdorf. And I sometimes, actually most often, I play bishop g5, but last few videos I've been playing bishop e3 for the sake of variety. This is the English attack. And my opponent hits back immediately with e5, which turns out to be the most popular move here. It's funny, I see more in my own play. I often see the move e6 here as well. And I play knight b3, the most popular choice, and my opponent plays bishop e6. Now, at this point, I've exhausted my knowledge of the theory in terms of specific moves and move orders, so I'm improvising. I know the general plan, but I'm not necessarily sure about the most accurate move order. But it turns out, if you look at it, I'm still choosing the main line. So f3, bishop e7, queen d2. I guess these are pretty obvious moves. I mean, this is the whole idea of the English attack, is to get the queen off the back rank, allow queenside castling, then pawn storm on the king side. Black castles into it, I castle, and then knight c6. So this is the first move at move 10, and it's my opponent's move, where we get a move which is really outside the book. Knight bd7 is the most common move. And the move a5 is an interesting move that Daniel King has talked about in his videos. Daniel King is Power Play Chess on YouTube. If you want to look at some of his Najdorf videos, he talks about this move a5 quite a lot. I think it's his preferred choice in this position. But knight c6 is probably okay. You see the evaluation goes up slightly, but doesn't mean a whole lot, I don't think, at this point. And I continue with my plan of pawn storming. And we're out of the book here. a5 wants to be played, I guess. Yeah, the computer agrees, a5. So my opponent doesn't come up with this a5 idea, so you'll see it popping up in the computer suggestion list from time to time. But he never plays that. And b5 is another plan, which is often played. Okay, so g4 here. I was wondering about, in the game, the move h4 here. When he moved the knight, I played g4, and he moved his knight out of the way, so there's an attack on the h4 pawn. But the h4 pawn is actually immune, so this can be played. And if he takes it, this move here, g5, traps the bishop, and there's only one square for the bishop to go to, and then knight e2 wins it. So the bishop is pretty much lost here. I guess it can retreat to f4, and then you just win a pawn or two. But this is excellent position for white. So anyway, so after h4, of course he doesn't have to take. The computer still likes this idea, a5. But in answer to my question during the game, whether it was possible to play h4 there instead of g5, it really was. So I played it safe by playing g5 first. And again, if you look at this now, the computer thinks black can equalize with this move a5. So definitely a plan to keep in mind. Okay, but he took my knight. We had this exchange, and then he went after my loose pawn here. So I decided to take off that knight and get my queen to a central square and allow him to take the g-pawn. I thought opening up the g-file would help me. But you can see the game is still in the range of even. It's here. It's this move bishop e7 where I think black is starting to lose the thread a little bit. So obviously he wants to defend the d6 pawn, and it's just that it can be defended more actively with the move bishop to f4, or even knight to e5. It looks like a counterattack. Knight e5 counterattacks my pawn on f3. Might be a way to play it. That's a little more active. So bishop e7 is a little bit passive, and allows me to start to get a good game. And after b6, now I wonder about b6. Actually, in retrospect, this might have just been a pawn slip. He might have been intending to, a finger slip. He might have been intending to play b5, which is kind of the normal move here, and harass this knight, b5, b4. So when he plays b6, that may have been a mistake, because it's, it controls these two squares. But I wasn't really threatening to go to either of those squares, and this square was already adequately covered, so b6 is probably just a slip. Okay, rook to g1. Maybe these are not always going to be the most accurate moves, but I keep a pretty good advantage along here, and proceed with f5 to try and bust up his pawn formation. Although I am allowing this move bishop f6, and here, okay, rook e8. Suddenly, after rook e8, I have a really strong advantage, and I start out on the right track by taking the pawn. And I just don't find the right move to follow up. This is a cute move. I'm taking advantage of the pin so he can't take it, and I'm actually threatening to take that pawn, sack the bishop there, and then get this check with the rook, which would open him up, and I have two rooks and a queen, and his king would be exposed. So that would probably be a devastating attack. I would certainly be willing to play that in a blitz game without a whole lot of calculation. I guess in a long game I might calculate some more to make sure there's really a strong follow-up. But anyway, he doesn't have to take my bishop, though. Or he doesn't have to allow that sack, I guess. He plays the move knight e6, but the computer says he could just play bishop f6 and then move the king to g7, and then the sack is just not very effective. So, but he plays knight e6, hitting my queen, so I have to move the queen somewhere. And it looks like the only move that keeps the strong advantage for my attack here is queen d5. And this is kind of hard to see. Even now looking at it, knowing what the answer is, it's not clear to me why queen d5 is such a strong move here compared to other moves. So let's play it, see how it goes. Queen d5. And then he has a wide range of defenses here. Let's try bishop g5 as the most active one and strongest. Then sack the bishop here on g6 and play h4. And I guess this is why it's hard to see. So that was, if we back up to this position, that was queen d5, bishop here, then sack the bishop anyway, even though the bishop is blocking the g-file, and then play h4 to try and open up the g-file again. And this causes, if we play it out, at this point he has to give back material. If he just moves the bishop away, it looks like this is going to be a devastating attack. Let's see. Suppose the bishop went to this square. Yeah, rook takes g6 check is just going to win something. Rook takes g6 check, bishop g7, and rook takes e6. And yeah, and if he had retreated the bishop to e7, then again, taking with check and taking the knight wins the material back, and you have a strong attack. So pretty killer. So he can't really move the bishop. So suggestions like, let's try king g7. And then you take the bishop, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got an extra pawn, and the material in terms of pieces is the same, but his king is exposed, so I'm pawn up and continuing to attack. So this is good and even winning position for white. Okay, so I didn't see that, and I played queen e3 instead, just getting away from the knight and preparing to invade on the king side in various places. So once again, not once again, bishop g5 is a nice move here. With tempo, he plays it. I play queen g3, and you see that my attack, while it still seems to be going visually, it is with accurate defense. It looks like black can still hold this position. So he takes my bishop, and that is maybe the final mistake here for black. What could he do to defend? Bishop to h4 or bishop to f4. Okay, a couple of bishop moves harassing my queen, trying to chase it off of this g-file. And looks like those are the ways for white to try and for black to try and continue to defend. So not so easy maybe. to find these moves. So he took the bishop, and now this was my plan all along, was I can use the move h4 to win his bishop back, which is pinned. So I get my material back, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's actually a pawn up, but I can grab this pawn on d6 immediately with the rook. So I do, and now I'm just winning. Queen has to move somewhere, and I can come in with a knight, and so I'm getting all my pieces into the attack, and things are looking pretty good. And there was just this one funny moment at the end here where I set up this discovered check against the king, and now the most accurate way to take advantage of the discovered check is knight d5. So here, let's show how this might go. Knight d5 check. King to g8 is the toughest defense. Knight takes e7 check. Okay, forking the king. Forking the king and the queen. Okay, so that's hopeless. Where else could the king go? Oh, he could move his queen in the way and give up material that way. If he tries to defend by moving his knight in the way, then queen takes e7 check. Yeah, picking up the rook and continuing the attack, leading to a mate in 3. And what else? Any other king move? Well, what other king move is possible? The only other king move that's even legal is this one. And if he goes there, then queen to h8 check leads to a mate in 3. So it was just pretty devastating. There's just no stopping it. He's just throwing material in the way. Okay, so that would be a killer attack. Instead, after queen g6, I played the move knight g8 check, thinking, well, I would take the rook after the king moves. Forgetting that the king can just take the knight. Fortunately for me, I find this move, which is the only move, if you look in this position, rook f6 to keep the advantage. But it's pretty obvious. Bring another piece into the attack, fork the queen and the knight, get your material back. So the queen has to move. Peter thinks the best move here is giving up the queen. Queen takes f6, but obviously that's going to be losing. So I get to grab the knight, I get my material back, and now this attack is overwhelming just because his king is in check. And of course, if the queen interposes, I just take it, so the king has to go to h7 or h8. h7 would have been stronger after king h8. Then I have this check, and when the king comes back, I can skewer the queen, or he can give up the queen immediately with oh, the king can't even move back. The queen has to move, so I'm going to win the queen one way or another. Okie doke, so that's the end of the game. My opponent forfeited on time here, but he was losing at least, so it was a true victory, and a better game than my last one. Although, as usual, there are still some imprecise moves there. It's always interesting to look at these things with a computer and find out the best defenses and stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed that, and leave any comments you have in the section below. I will see you again soon. Bye.